All right, ladies and gentlemen, you are welcome to another great episode on your favorite political talk show, The Truth with Ben Jokes. Now, the confusion and failure of the TINUBU administration continues, and the citizens remain at the receiving end of it all. Yesterday, after about 2 months of being absent, TINUBU finally got tired of hiding the fact that the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Taoreed Lagbaja, was incapacitated, and he appointed a stand-in Chief of Army Staff in person of Major General Olufemi Oluyede. Think about this. You claim to be seriously, fighting insurgency. Then the Chief of Army Staff suddenly collapsed and got incapacitated, and it took you 2 months to replace him. Something you should have done under 24 hours. So how can such a person tell you that he's serious about fighting insurgency and you believe? I'm just saying all these so that those who still have some faith in this administration will learn and be wise. This regime is just joking with Nigerians, and they are proving that every single day. And we cannot run away from the fact that the failure of TINUBU is telling massively on the fight against insurgency in Nigeria. Forget the media lies. Things are getting worse. Hours ago, one of the biggest lies of the TINUBU regime was brutally exposed in a video by one of TINUBU's ministers. You see, when a regime is built on lies and propaganda, confusion becomes the order of the day. TINUBU has been trying to lead the nation on in a false direction, selling falsehood, but his own minister exposed him. And just as Nigerians were yet talking about that development, another update dropped. This one came in all the way from the United States. A U.S. Secretary of State disgraced the TINUBU regime and the entire security architecture of the country. Nigeria has indeed hit the rock bottom as a nation. Before I show you details of that statement from the United States and that video of TINUBU's minister exposing the regime, let me quickly show you this video. When we say the likes of Minister of Finance Wale Edun and CBN Governor Cardoso are clueless and corrupt at the same time, some people will say it's an exaggeration. Watch this video and tell me if anyone on TINUBU's economic team has ever made this much sense in an economic discourse. See the video.
There is something because this has security implication, this also has economic implication. You have also moved a bill for the prohibition of foreign currency use in Nigeria. Mm-hmm. It's actually captured in the CBN Act. Mm-hmm. The usage of foreign currency for transaction in Nigeria is illegal, but yet people still use it for school fees, for hospital bills, and all whatnot. That what you are proposing isn't going to be duplication for what is already obtained in the CBN Act.
No. It's an amendment to the Act. The fact is that our economy, as it is in tatters. It is in some kind of quagmire, if I may use that word. And it doesn't matter how you look at it. It doesn't matter what policies they try to introduce here and there. Nothing will work. Nothing will work as long as we keep tying the level of exchange rate to our consumptions. Nothing will work. Let me just try and break it down to you. When we became an independent nation, we had Naira. And our currency was quite strong. Then suddenly, we began to have other currencies, dollars particularly, and pounds, and now, of course, euro. There is no country that I know in the world that has the use of multiple currencies. Every country, Britain, they use pounds. America uses dollars. France uses euro. Now, if you go to any of those countries and you have, for example, you go to UK and you have dollar, you must change it at the BDC. You cannot pay for anything in dollars in UK. Everybody is paid their salaries in pounds in UK. The same thing, you go to America. Everybody uses dollars. So for this to work, assuming that we agree, all of us agree that we should prohibit the use of foreign currency in Nigeria, what it means that if somebody is coming to buy oil or buy gas or buy gold in Nigeria, they'll be required to use only Naira
as form of transaction.
Yes. So if they're coming from UK, for example, what they must do is to look for Naira.
So that they can transact.
They can transact. Because they know they cannot use any other currency. So they must look for
There are
Naira.
those who will say that
Listen to me, please.
Is execution of it.
No.
That law is also
No. Let me just give you complete with the examples. So if they want to transact with another currency in Nigeria, they cannot. So they must look for Naira. Currently, nobody looks for Naira because we have made it so easy for them to transact with other currencies. Do you understand it? There's no obligation for them to look for any other currency other than their own. So they can come here with any currency, and that means effectively that there are no global demands for our Naira. So given the scenario, if this law is passed, what it means that anybody who needs to transact with Nigeria must use foreign,
Naira.
Must use Naira. So there will be a demand or demands for Naira in those countries. Do you understand that? It means that when there's demand for Naira, what happens to it? There will be a rise in the value of Naira. Because currently there's no demand for Naira anywhere. Even if you carry a truckload of Naira to Heathrow Airport or anywhere in UK, what happens to that is that there is no need for it. People will tell you there is no value for it.
You heard that. Now, these are the kind of words you should be hearing from a Minister of Finance or CBN governor. Nigerian economy as it is today is controlled by the dollar, and the handlers of the economy have no concrete plan. Neither have they taken any concrete step as decisive as what Senator Ned Nwoko described in that video to ameliorate the situation. But how will they, when the schools and the malls that receive payments in dollars here in Nigeria belong to them and their cronies? During the APC primaries, TINUBU himself shared dollars to delegates to buy their votes. He clearly has more dollars physically in his possession than Naira, I'm telling you. So he can't back any legislation that prohibits the spending of dollars in Nigeria. These are enemies of the state in charge of the state. That is the situation in Nigeria right now. And reacting to the suggestions of Senator Ned Nwoko in that video, Henry Augustine here says, a good step to market the Naira. That's a very nice idea, and it needs to be implemented and enforced robustly. It will definitely bring some form of stability, but they won't do it because they are the ones killing the Naira themselves. And additional here says that was Putin's strategy to fight the West when his country was sanctioned. You have to pay in Russian rubles to buy his gas. This creates a high demand for rubles and reduced the effect of the sanctions on Russia. However, there has to be a high level of self-sufficiency to achieve this. Yes, of course, but when we are talking about paying school fees and, purchasing items from shopping malls in dollars, those ones are highly outrageous and they can be stopped without even you being self-sufficient as a nation. And Deborah here says, when corrupt custom charges goods in dollars, how do you think our Naira will appreciate? PDAPC politicians used dollars for delegates. Even corrupt Nigerian politicians don't value our Naira. Federal government should stop using dollars, pounds, and euros. It will grow Nigerian economy. That is it. They are the ones killing the economy themselves. Now, let us look at the two top updates that have been the major talking points in the Nigerian political media space. First is the update from the United States disgracing TINUBU and Nigeria's security architecture. Then next is the video of TINUBU's minister clearly stating the opposite of TINUBU's claims on security in Nigeria. Let's begin with the update from the United States former Secretary of State bashing the TINUBU administration and the entire security architecture. Look at how the papers reported it. Former U.S. Secretary of State knocks TINUBU government, says only in Nigeria will bandits take over military training facility. Reporters. Tibo Nagy, a former United States Assistant Secretary of State for Africa, has expressed concerns about the insecurity in Nigeria under Bola Tinubu-led government. Nagy's comments followed allegations made by a Niger State House of Assembly lawmaker stating that bandits had taken over the Nigerian Army training camp in Kontagora, raising the alarm over the nation's deteriorating security situation. In a tweet on Wednesday, Nagy stated, "Only in Nigeria can bandits take over the nation's largest military training facility. Anywhere else in the world, this will be obviously fake news. But in Nigeria, even the most absurd and outrageous is possible. When will the nation get a decent government?" Wow. And G Reporter here says, this latest humiliation is the bitter fruit of Tinubu's incompetence. His administration's failure to confront banditry has allowed these criminal gangs to grow bold, striking at the very foundation of the state's authority. That is it. Pathetic. And Abe Jacob says, bandits take over military base. Now only civilians they sweet Nigerian soldiers beat. But if na bandits and terrorists, then they come out like smoke. Chai. And Idris Dada here says, it can only happen here. They have been fighting insecurity for almost 2 decades, yet no peace in the land. What a shame. And Okel Gene here says, this is all by design. In the words of Abacha, if any insurgency lasts more than 24 hours, then it means the government is involved. Of course, the APC government, their hands are not clean. We have been saying it here. These gunmen generally were the people that they brought into this country in 2015 to fight Jonathan if he didn't relinquish power, because they had already arranged with Jega to rig the elections. And now they have snatched and grabbed the power to use them now wahala. And the gunmen are now beyond their control and they are wreaking havoc on the entire nation. What a disaster. Now, let us look at that video where Tinubu's Minister for Power, Adebayo Adelabu, exposed Tinubu. Now, here is the background to this story. Before the Chief of Army Staff, Taoreed Lagbaja, fell sick, he called those still discussing insecurity in Nigeria mischief makers. He kept talking about how insecurity had been defeated technically. And when some northern groups came out to say the claims of the army was not true, that insecurity in the north was worse under Tinubu, they called them bitter northern groups. Now, in this video, the Minister for Power, while trying to defend his own performance, exposed Tinubu and the army by confirming that bandits are wreaking havoc in the north, making demands on government and threatening government contractors. See the video.
The bandits are also threatening the contractors that we sent to fix it, which is why we sought help of the NSA and the other security agencies. So, with due respect to the Senator, the northern blackout was not due to technical grid collapse. It was vandalization. And we have explored alternative routes of supply power, which is the Bauchi route, which was also vandalized anyway, but that one is easier to fix. And we are saying within the next 2 to 3 days, there will be lights restored to the north.
You heard that. The same bandits and gunmen that Tinubu claims to be dealing with took over the largest military training camp in Nigeria, and the whole world is now aware of it. The ex-Secretary of State of the United States tweeted about it. These are the same people you claim to have defeated. The same gunmen this administration claims to be dealing with threw the most part of northern Nigeria into darkness for over a week. They openly vandalized government installations and then began making demands on government. And when the government sent contractors to fix those installations, they began threatening the contractors. Does this sound like, an exercise that was carried out in fear or in haste? These guys are operating with boldness and confidence. And just as some, northern leaders came out to confirm, bandits are reigning supreme in northern Nigeria. This is the situation of the country under the APC. What a shame. Now, remember, I've always told you that anywhere you find the APC, their aim is the same: to steal, to kill, and to destroy. Now, news making the rounds of what the disastrous APC is doing in Ekiti State, one of the poorest, if not the poorest state in the southwest. Look at what their APC governor, is doing to their resources in Ekiti. Ekiti government spent 314 million on executive chairs, tables, seats in 9 months. Zero spending on medical equipment. Ekiti State's third quarter 2024 budget performance documents reveal some interesting spending priorities. It shows that a whopping 314 million was spent on office furniture, specifically 100 executive chairs and tables, 30 additional tables, 100 more chairs, and 15 cities within the first 9 months of the year. This amount surpasses the 163 million allocated for the rehabilitation and repair of water facilities during the same period. Meanwhile, only 200 million was spent on the rehabilitation of public schools. Also, 4.3 million naira was spent on primary healthcare development, while capital expenditure for the Ministry of Environment stood at 264.6 million. Similarly, the capital expenditure for rural and community development stood at 157.1 million, which is also lower than what the state spent on chairs and tables. No money was spent on the purchase of health/medical equipment for the period under review, while the state spent 88.3 million on flooding and erosion control. And look at how Nigerians reacted. Let's take some of the tweet reactions. Adeolu here tagged the Ekiti State governor, and he wrote, "While the House of Assembly is about to travel to Canada for a retreat, with the level of education in Ekiti, this is the last thing I expected." So Adeolu is telling us another thing. They are about traveling to Canada for a retreat amidst hardship in the land after spending over 300 million naira on tables and chairs. God Pikin here is confirming what Adeolu said. He said, "Yet they have planned for a trip abroad. I am still wondering the path of hell these people will be thrown to because they are insidious." And Bayo Jata here says, "How will they get back the 10,000 naira they distributed during election if they don't buy chairs?" Scholar here says, "Misplaced priority. Are all these people really humans? Why are you not touched by the sufferings of the citizens?" And Olanusi Akintayo says, "This is how they are spending the increment in the revenue allocation from the federating purse. All the state governors, except few, of course. At the end of his 8 years tenure, he will leave Ekiti poorer than he met it, and another clown will take over to continue the plundering." And that is the story of Nigeria. We have never had it this bad. Everything has turned upside down under the APC. But I'm not surprised. This is what these guys have come to do. They have no plan for Nigeria. PDP was in power. Yes, we had our issues. We had many issues under the PDP, but at least we can call that a bad government. But under the APC, we've had no government at all. These are people that, for reasons that I cannot explain, have just come to destroy this country. I keep saying it. These guys are working with some foreign forces to bring Nigeria and her citizens down to their knees. This is what they are doing, and only Nigerians can save themselves. And that is why I keep saying that the people have to realize we cannot overstate this. we cannot overflog this issue. No matter how we talk about it in a day, it is not even enough. Nigerians have to wake up to the reality of what the APC is trying to do to this country. They are trying to completely destroy this country. They have come to steal, to kill, and to destroy like the devil. And that is why I keep telling Nigerians that no matter how strong they seem as an organization, they only seem strong because the people have not united. If Nigerians will realize the danger that these guys being in power portend and they cast aside their sentiments and unite, we can easily take this country back. It will not take us anything. All this INEC and judiciary we are talking about, they are Nigerians like us. And if we will unite and stand against them, they will bow to us. And that is what I keep preaching here. But are Nigerians ever going to accept this? Are Nigerians ever going to toe this path of freedom, which is to unite and get the right thing done? Well, it is left to be seen. But until then, make I still enter town. Make I go get some ogbonge political news. Where una go like? Why? Because of una. Now I dey here, so don't go away.